Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another Empowered episode. I feel like it's been a while since I sat down to share what's been going on behind the scenes with Alchemia and my personal journey. It feels like I've been through a roller coaster these last few months, and I've grown a lot since I first launched Alchemia back in 2020. I've given some hints about it on Instagram, giving you glimpses here and there, but I'm the kind of person who has to process things privately before I open up. Only after I've sat with it and understood it myself do I feel ready to share. So today I'm ready. I'm here to tell you about what's been happening, both the exciting things, but also the tough lessons I've had to learn. Let me start by saying Alchemia has been a wild ride. When I launched it, I had these big dreams about what it would become. But as many of you know, nothing really ever goes exactly as planned, right? There were so many unexpected challenges along the way. Like, did you know that the brand was born during lockdown when I was at home with a newborn and a 2-year-old? I was in survival mode, and yet somehow Alchemia was born out of that chaos. Then life threw another curveball when my husband decided to move to Paris. That was obviously a mutual decision, but in the middle of the whole journey, that added so many extra set of challenges. My husband and I thought we were making this big leap into this new life, but balancing 2 kids, our relationship, and building a business has been so intense. I remember pitching Alchemia on Dragon's Den, convinced I was ready to take up the next level, only to face some really tough criticisms that rocked my whole core. It was brutal and humbling at the same time. I thought I had it all figured out, but I clearly didn't. So let me tell you, we've been learning from the ground up. No shortcuts, no investors, no nothing. Just me, my husband, and my small but mighty team. We had opportunities to bring investors through a family member, but we decided not to. We wanted to build this ourselves with our vision and our own terms. That meant making a lot of mistakes, spending a lot of money we couldn't afford to waste, and getting things wrong over and over again. Looking back, I was so naive about things would go. I thought because I have a background in marketing and branding, I could take the same approach with Alchemia and just make it work. But the reality was different. I faced so many setbacks entering the skincare business, and funding, building a team, creating products. And all the while, I was trying to be a mom and hold it together. When I say the fashion and beauty industry is tough, I mean it. It's full of surprises that test you constantly. One of the hardest moments was when I went to Dragon's Den, thinking I had it all figured out, I would get the investment and just get the business thriving. I remember when the episode aired, I just couldn't believe how they edit the episode. And I was looking at myself and my pitch thinking, oh my God, is this really what happened? I remember thinking to myself that this pitch represented everything I believed in, and I just broke down. That was a huge turning point for me. It made me question everything, whether I was even cut out for this. Should I keep pushing or should I let go and focus on something else? There were so many moments when I doubted myself, but then something clicked. The same time I was struggling with alchemia, I was also thinking a lot about how we live in a world of constant gratification. It's something I've been working on with my kids. How do I teach them patience and the value of waiting for things? And that made me realize that maybe that is my lesson for Alchemia too. This brand has been definitely my exercise in delayed gratification. It's been slow, frustrating, and sometimes downright painful. But it's taught me patience. It's taught me that some of the most beautiful things in life take time to grow. Alchemia is one of those things. It's evolving in ways I never expected, and I'm learning how to sit in the discomfort of not knowing if or when it will become what I envisioned. Then, when my husband and I moved back from Paris to Athens, I thought that everything is starting to come back together. I started having sales, and things started to feel like I felt like the vision was starting to shape. It was like the universe was sending me a little nod saying, "You're getting there, keep going." One of the biggest shifts in my journey happened when my daughter came to me after being made fun by her classmate. In that moment, I froze. I realized that I couldn't truly be the example I wanted to be for her. How could I teach her that it doesn't matter what other people think, that we don't need external validation when I hadn't fully embraced it in my own life? It hit me hard. I've been talking about authenticity, about being true on my path, but here I was with Alchemia, which, while rewarding in terms of community and quite lucrative, no longer aligned with what I truly felt inside. It made me question everything. How can I tell her that it doesn't matter what the world thinks when part of me still cared about creating something that looked successful? I realized that I need to walk the walk. I need to be a living example of what inner strength and self-assurance I want her to embody. This reflection took me deep within, and I asked myself, how can I truly embody the notion that I don't need to prove anything to the outside world? That I don't need external validation to feel successful? I knew in my heart that I had to make a change, to shift my focus from a display of success to a life of meaning. Alchemia was incredible, but the way it was functioning, the products, the system, was no longer something that resonated with me. It wasn't aligned with the authenticity I now needed in my life. I've said this so many times, but my children truly are my greatest teachers. Every day they challenge me to grow, to reflect, and to become the person I'm meant to be. My daughter's simple statement was a stepping stone in my journey to redefine what success looks like for me. It's not about having the perfect brand or image. It's about following a meaningful path. And that's what exactly I'm doing now. Taking this step back, learning from my children, and paving a new, more authentic path. Moving out of Athens and leaving this physical space behind is symbolic for a larger shift that's happening in my life. I want to explore what's next without the constraints of my current environment. I want to give myself the freedom to be curious again, to rediscover who I am as a person, as a mother, as an entrepreneur, beyond the identity I've built around Alchemia. I feel like I've been holding on to this image of what success in the wellness space looks like, and it was time to break away from it. There's this constant push in the wellness industry to always have it all together, to be the epitome of calm, balance, and perfection. But real life is messy, it's chaotic, and it's full of the unknowns. I want to embrace that. I want to build something new, something that feels true to who I am now, not to who I was when I started. So stepping away from this space is giving me myself permission to evolve, to not be defined by one thing or one place. It's me trusting that by letting go of what's familiar, I'll create room for something even better to unfold. And honestly, that's a little scary, but it's also incredibly freeing. And I started to get more comfortable with the idea of failing forward, if that makes sense. So I decided to stop production of handmade soaps and to finish the stock we already have and just allow this space to just guide me. And while that was hard, I've come to see that those moments are part of the process, learning to let go of what doesn't work and not seeing it as a failure, but as a part of the long game. I've stopped sharing as much of the day-to-day because I realized I was getting caught up into showing everything. I was constantly trying to keep up with this narrative of success. And I've learned that real success comes quietly. It comes from putting your head down and doing the work, from being okay with not having everything figured out. It's about that delayed gratification and trusting the process even when it feels very slow. So where am I with Alchemia now? Well, I've been thinking a lot about how to pivot. I've realized that trying to do everything is spreading me thin. So I'm considering of outsourcing our skincare and putting my energy into this community that we have built all this time and invest also in this podcast that is an extension of the Alchemia and the whole journey the way I see it. That's where I'm at, this pivot, this change of direction, and it feels good. I'm learning to be okay with not rushing. Alchemia is my slow evolving project, and as October marks my birthday and I turn 35, I can feel this is a new chapter emerging. This is a year I learned to truly embrace failure, not as something to be feared, but as a stepping stone towards something bigger, something more aligned. Reflect on this transition, I'm reminded of how much growth comes from those uncomfortable moments. Spent years trying to perfect everything, trying to make sure that I didn't fail, that Alchemia would succeed in every way I imagined. But now, at this stage, I've learned to embrace the messiness of it all. I'm 35 now, and it feels like a fresh chapter is unfolding in front of me, leaving behind this wellness space in Athens, taking a step back. It's all part of the journey. I'm no longer trying to force things into existence. Instead, I'm allowing them to unfold naturally. I've realized that stepping back doesn't mean I'm giving up. It means I'm giving myself the space to grow in ways I didn't even think possible. I think about the younger version of myself, the one that's always hustling, always striving for more, trying to prove that I could do it all. And now it's about blowing her mind in the best way possible, not by achieving perfection, but by embracing the imperfections, the uncertainties, and the pivots that are all part of this incredible process. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that failure is not the enemy. It's actually one of the most beautiful parts of the journey. We get so caught up in the fear of things not going as planned. But what if that's exactly what we need? What if setbacks, the moment of doubt, the decisions to move out of a space or to pivot in our work, what if those are the moments where real growth happens? I've come to a place of complete surrender to the hiccups along the way. There's so much power in not rushing to fix everything, in simply sitting with the discomfort and observing. It's about trusting the process, trusting that the universe is guiding you to where you need to be, even if it's not the path you initially envisioned. I'm reminded of a quote by J.K. Rowling that speaks so deeply to this stage of my life. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default. I think about this a lot, especially when I'm tempted to play it safe or to hold back because of fear. This story is so powerful. She went from being rejected by multiple publishers to build one of the most beloved literacy franchises of all time, Harry Potter. None of that would have happened if she hadn't embraced the possibility of failure. She didn't play it safe, and look what that took her. For me, this hits deeply because I know how easy it can be to fall into the trap of wanting everything to be perfect, wanting every move to be right. But playing it safe often means not playing at all. If I had let my fear of failing stop me, Alchemia would have never existed. And I wouldn't be here standing, reflecting on all these lessons that my missteps have taught me. That's how I feel about Alchemia and my journey. I haven't failed. I've just found thousands of ways that didn't work, each one bringing me closer to what will. And that's the secret of success, isn't it? It's about avoiding failure. It's about embracing it as a part of the process. It's about letting go of the pressure to always be on and allowing yourself to evolve through the challenges, the setbacks, and the moments when you don't have all the answers. So as I move into this next phase, stepping back, shifting gears, and opening myself up to new possibilities, I'm embracing failure as a beautiful part of my story. I'm choosing to see it as a teacher guiding me towards something even greater than I could ever have imagined. This next decade isn't about achieving everything perfectly, but about finding joy in the journey, in the trial and error, in the lessons along the way. And I know deep in my core that I'm being redirected to something more aligned, more meaningful, and more true to who I am becoming. I've learned that sometimes when things don't go as planned, it's the universe's way of nudging towards a path we never would have considered. When I started Alchemia, I had a clear vision where it was going. But now stepping back, I realize that part of the journey is allowing that vision to evolve, to not be so fixated on the end goal that I miss out on the beautiful, unexpected detours along the way. I've been reflecting a lot on how we're often in a rush to reach success, to tick all the boxes, but I'm beginning to see the power of slowing down, in letting things unfold at their own pace. Alchemia has been a testament to that. When I began in my kitchen during those uncertain months of COVID, has now grown beyond what I could have ever imagined. But it took time, and it's still taking time, and that's okay. I often think about my two daughters and what I want to teach them about life, about failure, and about resilience. I want them to know that it's not about getting everything right the first time. It's about showing up even when it's hard, even when you don't have all the answers. Because that's where the magic happens, in showing up, in the persistence. So as I close this chapter in my wellness space and move into a new one, I'm trusting that whatever is meant for me will find me. I'm no longer holding on to what I thought things should look like, and instead I'm opening my arms to come what may. The unknown is scary, but it's also where the most growth happens, and I'm ready for it. To anyone listening who feels stuck, who feels like things aren't going the way you envisioned, know that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to change your mind, to change direction, and to allow yourself to be beginner again. There's strength in starting over, and there's a power in embracing the unknown. I'm walking that path now, and I can tell you, this is where the real magic lies. As I step in this new chapter of my life, I want to celebrate where we've been and where we are going. Alchemia has been such a special part of my journey, and I know it's been a part of yours too. That's why I'm offering 30% site-wide on alchemiasoaps.com. This is your chance to grab all your favorite self-care rituals before they're gone for good. I've created Alchemia as a space where you can feel safe, where you can take those first steps in your healing journey, and it will always hold that energy. I truly love this community more than you will ever know. Your support, your messages, your presence, it means everything to me. Please leave a comment below with your greatest takeaways and thoughts for this episode. I read every single one of them, and they fuel me more than anything else. Let's keep growing, healing, and evolving together. This space is always open to you. Sending you all so much love, and I can't wait to hear from you.